Welcome back, everybody. Today we're here to talk more about The Walking Dead Season 9 because today we got some more information from Angela Kang. She had an interview with Entertainment Weekly and she gave us some information on Flashbacks and Negan and the festival and a lot of stuff that's going to be happening in the back half of Season 9. So in today's video, I want to talk about some of the questions she answered as well as give you guys my thoughts and opinions on it. But before I do begin, if you are a fan of The Walking Dead, be sure to subscribe for daily content. But other than that, let's get started. So I want to talk about Flashbacks first because that's something I'm very excited for, because there's a lot of stuff that happened in the 6-year time jump that we just don't know. Like, we know the repercussions of it, like the group aren't talking to each other, some people are angry at each other and this and that, but we don't really know exactly what happened. So Angela Kang did confirm that there will be a time jump. They asked her, the question was, I remember you mentioned last time you spoke about using flashbacks. Is that just something we may see throughout the back half of the season, or is it just a one-shot deal? And Angela Kang said, we'll see. It'll be used. I'll say it's more than once. It's a little different each time. It's something that tells specific pieces of backstory that I think are useful to understanding who some of our characters are and why they're at where they're at. So we already know we're getting a flashback with Michonne because we have this shot right here from the Season 9 beat trailer. And this is the hair, and she's swinging her katana here at somebody, like maybe fighting somebody. I don't think it will be like a walker because there's no, like, just her facial expression seemed like she would be killing somebody who is obviously bothering her or something. But this is obviously a flashback form because her hair is a lot different than it was before the 6-year time jump. So this is most likely, following Rick's exit and, early on in that time jump. And hopefully we're going to find out more about what happened with the exes because that's the main thing, Daryl and Michonne. And she said it's going to be more than once. It's a little different each time. So obviously we're going to get more than just one flashback with Michonne. Hopefully and most likely we're going to get one with Daryl too because he has an ex. And if Michonne and Daryl both have an ex, I'm sure other people also have an ex. There's no reason why those two would be the only ones. I mean, even maybe Maggie would have an ex. Now they did say, and I was hoping for Maggie to show up in the back half as like a flashback or something. But they did say Maggie's done for Season 9. So I don't know, the way they, I mean, you can take that in different ways. Like, yeah, Maggie's done for Season 9, but maybe because with Lauren Cohan, it's more of a, she wants to be on the show, more of a, scheduling thing with her new show. So if they can fit her in for one day of filming, maybe she could have been in the flashback or something. And I really hope she would be, but we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. And I'm also really interested to see how they deal with these flashbacks, because right now they're dealing with the whispers. And the flashbacks obviously aren't going to have the whispers in them. And I'm just interested to see how they're going to balance that out with, telling a different story with the whispers also involved. But they did say that she said right here that the flashbacks tell specific pieces of backstory that we need. So I think when she says that, it means more of like the communities working together and the communities having problems with each other. Because when the whispers come along, they're going to need to, unite and come together and fight. It doesn't even matter if they're upset at each other or whatever. The whispers are a big threat, so they need each other. But anyways, let's move on to the next question. So the next question is about the festival, or the fair, but she calls it the festival here, which I'm very, very excited for. The question was, we've heard some talk about the Harvest Festival this season. Obviously, that plays a big role in the comic books. Are we going to see that Harvest Festival before the season is done? And Angela said, yes, we are going to see the festival. That becomes a part of the story for the back half of the season. We really dove into the idea of what this festival is in a real way for our people. The origins of these kind of trade fairs were that people from far-flung communities would take a trek and trade useful goods because not every community had every single thing that they needed. It's a place where people could learn new skills and pick up supplies that they needed. It's also a chance for them to bond as different communities. In that context, we really get to see what each community is and how they're even dealing with the idea of this fair, because obviously it's been a point of some contention between the kingdom and Alexandria. This is a story that we see play out, but over the course of the back half. She didn't really say anything specifically about the whispers, but we know the whispers are going to be playing a part in the festival. Now, there's a scene in the trailer of Jerry looking at this other guy. And this is at the kingdom, obviously, and the kingdom is where the fair is going to be happening, so I'm thinking like maybe this is around the time they're setting up the fair or whatever. This could be a whisper because when the Whisperers find out that all these communities are coming together in one single location, they're gonna want to go there and learn more about the communities, because these communities are close to them now. They're in their territory, and the Whisperers hate that, and they want to find out what these people what's their deal. And I think when Alpha finds out that all these people are having a fair, she's probably gonna send people to check it out, and then maybe when the actual fair happens, that's when Alpha's gonna come. The fair, however, I kind of see that happening really late in the season, like episode 15 or even 16, towards the end of season 9. So we most likely aren't gonna hear that much about it until we get closer to that date. But the fair, I think, if you read the comics, the fair is like kind of that. I think is a good point. Some events that happen after the fair, it's a good stopping point for season 9, I think, and I think they want to save it up, and that's what they're building up to. They keep mentioning it since this 6-year time jump, so it's gonna be like a big event for The Walking Dead. So obviously they want to save that for a finale. So I could kind of see them starting it up in maybe episode 15, and then it plays out in episode 16. But let's move on and talk about our boy Negan. So after that, they asked Angela, and what about Negan? And Angela said, we'll also find out what happened with Negan. Now that he has broken out of the jail cell, we get to tell a really, I think, pretty cool story with Negan as he goes on an adventure of his own. The next question ties in with Negan, so I want to read that also. But the question was, well, that's interesting, because I remember that moment in the comic book where the cell door is left open, but he chooses to stay there to prove something to Rick. Clearly, we saw him walk out on the TV show, and we see him in a preview at the Sanctuary. What can you say about changing that story from the way that it was presented in the comics? First thing I want to say is that I actually really like that question, because obviously this interviewer is prepared because they know what they're talking about. And whenever I see like Walking Dead interviews with cast and crew, I don't really see like the interviewer talking too much about the comics. So I like how they mention that. But anyways, her answer was, yeah, it's not exactly the story that was in the comics, but we thought that it would be really interesting to see. Negan has wanted out of this cell. He kind of got to the point where he was like, just kill me. Then we saw him after the big time jump, kind of in the place of a semi-acceptance of his fate. But he's always wanted something more. He feels that he can be more in this world, so he sets out to prove that it's still possible. What he finds is a really interesting and different world out there from the time that he came into prison. Because if you think about it, for him, so many years have passed, whereas our people have been adapting to the changing world. He's just been in the cell this whole time. He learned some pretty interesting things while he's out there. I think it's really great to see Jeffrey do this really interesting, almost Western-esque journey that I think will be fun for fans of Negan to see. So first thing that came to my mind after reading this was Negan on a horse. Please give us Negan on a horse. That'd be pretty cool. But anyways, I'm excited for this because I do think she said that Negan's going to go on his adventure of his own, which I think will be a pretty cool B story for the episodes. And The Walking Dead used to do this thing in season 7 where, like, one episode would focus on like 1 or 2 characters, but they don't do that anymore, thank God. The episodes now, they have like a set of characters here, a set of characters there, and they kind of cut back and forth, like almost like an A, B, C story. And they can tell a pretty cool B story with Negan, I think. Even if he's not involved right away with the Whisperers, I think Negan, this like finding out what happened to the world and, on his own little adventure, I think it'd be pretty cool because Negan can stand on his own. Like, he's a character like Rick almost. Like, Rick is a character who I can watch on screen by himself. Negan, same thing. Like, I could watch Negan going on an adventure on his own. So this looks to be promising and it could be really good. I'm still hoping for Negan to save Daryl because when they find out Negan escaped, obviously they're going to send people out to go look for them, and Negan, or Daryl being the tracker he is, he most likely is going to be the one to go look for Negan. In the trailer, yeah, like they mentioned, we saw Negan back at the Sanctuary. And if people want to go tell me to go look for Negan after he escaped, I most likely am going to go check out the Sanctuary. So Daryl probably is going to do that. And we see Daryl and Beta fighting in the trailer. And hopefully things like line up perfectly, and like for Daryl to go there before Negan does. He sees Beta there for some reason. Him and Beta get in a fight. And if it's a somebody has to save Daryl because Beta versus Daryl one-on-one, I'm sorry Daryl, you're gonna die, dude. So somebody has to come and save Daryl, and I'm really hoping it's gonna be Negan, because I think that'll be some good redemption for his character also. So there you have it, guys. That's the interview with Angela Kang. If you want, I didn't read the entire interview, so if you want to check it out, I'll leave it in the description down below. Go ahead and check out the whole interview. Really cool stuff. We're about like 2 weeks away, yeah, like almost a little over 2 weeks away from the mid-season premiere. Hopefully we get a big trailer this week or next week, because The Walking Dead usually releases trailers for its mid-season, the next half during the break. We haven't, I mean, we've gotten a lot of teasers and stuff, like the whispered teasers with Alpha and Beta, that one with the hilltop. I don't know if that's going to be in the actual episode or whatever, but that was a really cool teaser. Hopefully we get a big trailer sometime the next week. But I am going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts and opinions about all that information we got, because there was a lot, so I'd love to hear from you. If you are a fan of The Walking Dead, be sure to subscribe for daily content, and I'll see you guys later.